Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV.
And I'm Lynn, your co-host.
Let's gear for sea and get underway. No matter what your home-based business, sales is the most important part of your business.
You can have a great business product or service and set up an efficient work-from-home organization. But if you don't generate sales, it's all for nothing.
Today's podcast guest, no sales. Wendy Connick's first sales position was a summer job selling vacuums door to door.
Now a seasoned selling pro, Wendy Connick has a new book to help us in sales, appropriately titled Sales 101, a crash course on how to sell anything.
Wendy Connick uses simple and easy to understand language to share the techniques that get right to the bottom line, how to create and clearly convey sales value.
So greetings, Wendy Connick. Welcome to our show.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Thank you for coming on it.
So you're connecting in from Medford, Oregon?
Yes, indeed.
Wow, beautiful part of the world. I don't think we've had anybody call in from Oregon before, or from that area. So that's great. How's it like running your business from Medford?
Well, good news is when you're a writer, you can do it just about anywhere. So you can just pick a spot where you're happy, and that's where your business is.
Cool.
Well, if you have no sales experience and have just started your own business, how can you become good at selling fast?
Well, at its core, sales is just finding the people who need the product or service that you offer and giving them that product or service. So the trick is really just finding a way to find those people. Now, business owners actually have a few serious advantages over traditional salespeople. First of all, business owners are usually very passionate about their product, and that truly comes across. Too many professional salespeople are selling something they don't believe in, and they no matter how hard they try to sound enthusiastic about it, people can hear the difference. Business owners also know their product really well. Another huge advantage when you're trying to sell someone something and they ask some technical question, it's really great if you can come right back and answer the question. And finally, small business owners don't sound like salespeople. And this is a serious problem for professional salespeople. You get this voice after a while. And if you've ever answered the phone and it's a cold call, you know it right away. Within 5 seconds, you hear it in the salesperson's voice. This is a big problem. There was actually, on an earlier edition of this podcast, there was a guest who's also a writer who wrote a sales book. And he talks about how to get around this. And his way of getting around this is coughing. He would call someone, and within the first few seconds of the call, he coughs to make himself sound more human.
Really?
I mean, it's a really big problem. So small business owners don't have to worry about that. And with those advantages, they can actually be better salespeople than salespeople are.
Yeah, I want to pull that out. I've thought about sales a lot, but I never looked at that key point you just brought out. That as a home business owner, just a business owner in general, you have a natural built-in passion for whatever you're selling, and that just, I guess that comes along, come off subconsciously to who you're selling to, and that's a key advantage you should always leverage.
Absolutely.
Well, lead generation is crucial in sales. How can micro business owners find good leads?
When it comes to lead generation, like a lot of things, you can either spend time, you can spend money, or you can spend both. It's really a matter of deciding which is more important to you, time or money, and then taking that approach to finding leads. If you decide you want to spend money, you can buy lead lists. There are so many lead list vendors out there, easy to find. Mm-hmm. You just find one who sells the kind of list that's going to have the leads that are of high value to you, and you buy them. You can also use online advertising. That's huge these days. Google being the 900-pound gorilla in that space, but there's also...
tell me about it.
There's also social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest have been big lately, especially if you're selling a product that looks good on camera. Those are great options. If you'd rather spend time than money, and a lot of micro business owners don't have a lot of money, you've got some other options. Networking is huge. You can network with other business owners, especially someone who sells something that kind of complements what you sell. I mean, the classic example there, if you if you're a real estate person and you sell houses, partner up with mortgage brokers. It's an ideal combination. You can trade leads back and forth. You can use searches on the internet. The paid lead lists are much easier to use, but if you have plenty of time, just go through the internet, look for keywords that relate to the kind of people who are going to want to buy your product, and connect with those people.
I mean, it's kind of putting this into perspective, maybe for some of our newer entrepreneurs that, sometimes you kind of look at sales as, as two parts. One is finding leads, and the other is then, that sales process of converting those leads. But, I don't know what your thoughts on it, but that lead generation seems to have gotten a lot more complicated, or there's a lot more noise now that the internet is here. It used to be, it was direct marketing, and there was, a narrow source of leads. And now it's, like you were mentioning some of the places before. I mean, you could literally search everywhere, and, keywords and online social media. How do you make some sense out of this as far as, where's the best place to put your time in to getting those leads?
Yes, the level of noise, it's definitely one of those trade-offs of having this wonderful technology that we call the internet and all its related tools. And it can be a challenge. That's why this is a time-consuming process to go out there and find the leads. One thing that can actually help a lot is talking to your existing customers. Find out what drew them to your product, and then use keyword searches based on what they tell you. The customer, is a great source of information.
Yeah, we all buy on referrals, that's for sure.
That's for sure, yes. Yeah, if you can get a referral chain going, that's like lead gold.
So once you have those leads, how can small business owners convert them into paying customers?
That is always
the age-old challenge.
Yeah, well, you got a few options there. First of all, a lot of your leads aren't going to be ready to buy, but that just means they're not ready to buy now. They might be ready to buy next week or next month. So the trick is keeping in contact with them. And if you want to do that, you've got to give them a reason, because no one's just going to, stay in contact with you just to get spammy emails every week. So one great way to kind of encourage people to stay in contact is to offer them something. It could be coupons. It could be freemiums. Maybe if you're an expert on something, you write a white paper and you give it out to them. Here's how to accomplish XYZ at no charge. Use those kind of tricks to get people to opt into your mailing list. And then once you have a mailing list, you can start sending them regular small value things. Again, how to accomplish this trick. Usually you want to aim for about 80% of your messages should be some kind of value-added thing, and 20% can be sales messages. And that will usually keep your leads happy, willing to subscribe, and when they're ready to buy, they're right there and they'll reach out to you.
What do you think about putting together a newsletter, a regular newsletter you put out, and, try to, offer some things of value, whether it's a coupon or just there's always interesting things within your industry, your narrow niche, and trying to be an information, an expert in, providing good advice to those prospective clients, leads until they're ready to buy. Are newsletters pretty good?
Newsletters are fantastic. And, one of the easiest ways to put together a newsletter that's still great is to do curation, which means you go out there on the internet, you find the best sources of information related to the things you're selling or what your customers want to hear. You just put together a list of those links with a little description under each one, and there's your newsletter.
Well, kind of getting into the sales, a higher percentage of home business owners are unable to do sales in person. So how can they break through when they're doing sales and selling virtually? Selling virtually,
again, there's benefits and there's definite drawbacks. I, for one, would rather sell virtually than be knocking on doors. And as you pointed out in your intro, I've done the door knocking thing, selling Kirby vacuum cleaners. I don't ever want to do that again.
Do they? I don't know. That's just, that door-to-door selling used to be pretty big. I mean, it's pretty good training, I guess.
It is. If you can survive at door-to-door selling, you can do any sales job. But yeah, virtual selling, there's a lot of tools out there. And again, I circle back here. Online advertising is a great place to start. One of the really nice things about most of the online advertising programs is you can start as small as you want. You do a pilot program, maybe you spend $100 the first month on ads. That kind of gives you a sense for what works and what doesn't. You can see
test. test.
Exactly. You can see which keywords get the most views. If any of them convert, that's a great sign. And then you can just build on it from there.
And getting into that actual selling, what do you hear about video? I'm hearing more and more to try to, connect in short video snippets, even, embed them in your emails, or, put a YouTube on your web channel to try to make that connection through video. Do you see that? And even in Instagram, do you see that getting important in selling virtually?
It does. And like you said, just putting a face to the name is huge. It personalizes you. Again, it shows you're not just some robot salesperson, you're an actual human being. Videos are a great way to get across that excitement you feel about your product. That gets people who are watching the video excited. So yeah, absolutely. Even just a short snippet, it can be a huge help.
I think putting that face to the name, just embedding a small image of yourself in the signature of your email. I know that helps me to remember somebody. Maybe just an extra tip.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
So when a home business owner is ready to hire their first salesperson or sales rep, how do they pick the right one and manage them properly?
Well, when you're looking for a salesperson, the interview is an incredibly useful tool for picking someone who can sell well. Because if you think about it, when you're interviewed for a job, you're basically selling yourself. So it's a perfect way to see how good that person's sales skills really are in action. And you can even hone that down further by asking them to demonstrate, how would you sell a particular product or service? Not even necessarily yours, but, just come up with an example. My brother was up for an interview many years ago as a bank teller, and they actually asked him to do this. So he picked up a stapler off the desk, and he said, okay, this is your new ATM card. And he was going on about the benefits, and he said, and look, it's so big, you'll never lose it. And at that point, all the interviewers just burst out laughing, and he got the job.
He got the job.
He convinced them that he was the kind of guy they'd want to hire. That's the kind of thing you would want to look for in a salesperson interview, and he is a good salesperson, by the way.
I think it's probably safe to assume that most home business owners, small business owners, would be hiring more of a sales rep. Maybe not able to hire somebody full time, but work with somebody who might be repping 3 or 4 different products and dividing up their time that way. Is there, any advice you might have about hiring a sales rep type of salesperson?
Well, in that case, I'd say it's even more important to make sure they have good, solid sales skills. Because if you got someone who's switching back and forth from one moment to another, selling totally different products and services, they need to know how to do it. Another thing to know about salespeople when you actually hire one and you're ready to manage one, salespeople are mostly very independent-minded. They don't like micromanagement. They want to be out there doing their thing, getting their sales in, bringing them in, and just kind of be left alone. So that's usually the best way to manage salespeople. And, the kind of sales rep you're talking about, even more so. If you've got someone who's spending maybe an hour or two selling your stuff and the rest of the day selling other people's stuff, he's definitely not going to want you hovering. So that's the key way to keep your salesperson happy and producing.
Well, probably the rule of thumb is they're motivated by money. So hopefully they're also, making some conversions with your product or service and keeping it all good.
Yes. The really good salespeople, almost universally, they love commission-only jobs because commission-only means they get money only if they produce, but it usually means if they're good at their job, they get a lot of money.
I think when you structure deals, bringing sales in, the more you have under, like, what do they call it, a monthly stipend or whatever, the less will be the actual commission. Whereas wiping that all away and then getting going totally to commission, that'll increase. Rule of thumb is it should increase the percent commission then.
Oh, yes. I mean, if it's commission only, if the salesperson doesn't sell anything, he starves. But if he's good, he makes a ton of money. With a base plus commission, like
base is what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, there's usually the commission's a whole lot less. So at least the salesperson will never starve. But, if he's really good, he's not going to make as much money.
So it's probably not a good sign when the first thing the sales rep asks is, what's their base?
Yes.
You want that hard-charging millennial who comes in and says, I want commission only, and what's the most amount I can get?
Exactly. Yep. That's what you want to hear. And, for business owners, even small ones, if the salesperson's producing, you're making money. So you can afford to pay them those high commissions. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I mean, that wish we could talk more on. I mean, that's such an important part of growing is bringing in, a salesperson and sales help. And it's something I think every home business owner should be thinking about that when it gets to the point that they can't do the sales themselves. Although I recommend they should be working at sales every day. How do you grow that business by bringing in sales support? So, well, Wendy Connick, this has been a great discussion on selling 101. Do you have any final points you would like to share with our audience?
Well, sales is a little scary for someone who's never sold, but the trick is really just relax, have fun with it, go out there, talk to people about your product. Probably you try and have a good time. Don't stress about it.
You said the important thing. You got to have fun with this, and if you're not having fun, the person you're selling to is going to sense that.
Exactly.
Wendy Connick, thank you for being such a wonderful guest on the Home Business Podcast.
Well, thanks. It was nice being here.
To learn more about Wendy Connick and her book, Sales 101, visit connickfinancial.com or our podcast website for more information on guests.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, homebusinessmag.com.
Visit the website for information on advertising, subscribe to our newsletter. Please visit our sponsors. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or the expo at homebusinessexpo.com.
I'm Richard Captain Henderson saying anchors away.
We'll talk with you soon. Until then,
make it a great home-based biz day.